For the first time in nearly 2 years, rents are declining from record highs in several markets. But is this a sign that landlords could be facing a very difficult rental crisis? I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the fact that rents are actually declining in several markets throughout the entire country. And I'm not just talking about places like, New York and San Francisco, but, I even read that rents are declining in places like Dallas, So it's all over the country right now, and it has to do with the economy. Obviously, the economy is pretty shaky, and it's scaring a lot of people and making it so that people are really second guessing, the amount of money they're willing to spend on rent. So yeah, this could be pretty bad for landlords overall, and I'm not surprised about it, but it's something that we should be coming to expect now. Since the declines are happening, right? Remember, the rental rates are still much, much higher than they were just a few years ago. So a lot of landlords are still in a good position. They should be making, decent money, able to make their loan payments, etc. Right? But it just kind of tells you, hey, that we're on shaky ground for the next few years, and we don't know what's going to happen with inflation and interest rates and everything else. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, and maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? Have you experienced, at least in the properties that you own particularly, having to cut the asking rents back for, that you're marketing, okay? So I just want to give a personal example of what's going on with me. So my most expensive single family home rental here in Omaha, Nebraska recently became unoccupied. My tenant moved on. They had bought a house. I was happy for them, right? And we put it out there for $2,700 a month, right? Didn't get many bites. And we had to drop that down for, I think it was $2,300 a month. And then there was a lot more interest in that price range. Okay. So yeah, we reached up for the sky thinking, hey, maybe tenants would be interested in renting the place for that amount. And we found out that, hey, that might have been the case if the current economic situation wasn't going on. I'm still happy with $2,300 a month. My previous tenant was only paying $2,000 a month, so this is still a $300 a month increase over that amount, but it's not as high as I had initially hoped it would be. So, I know other landlords might be experiencing something similar throughout the entire country right now. So anyway, let's get into the article. This article is coming from Yahoo Money, and it says, rental market shifts towards renters, finally. Yeah, and it's shifting towards renters, but, if you are well positioned as a landlord, you should be just fine. So let's get into it. Sophia Perez has been living in a one-bedroom apartment in the Ravenna neighborhood of Seattle, Washington for 3 years. Looking to stay flexible as she transitions into fully remote work in a more affordable city, she has only felt comfortable signing short-term 6-month leases during that time. But the flexibility came at a price. Every 6 months, my rent has gone up, sometimes by a little and sometimes by a few $100s, said the 32-year-old web developer. It's been brutal, and I've been feeling very discouraged. Until recently, that is. Perez says she got a break on her rent for the first time ever. In September, my landlord texted me that he was reducing the rent from $2,795 to $2,655, she said. Yeah, so she got a little over, what is that, about $150 or $140 discount in the rent from her landlord. And that's very nice of her landlord to give her a rental discount, right? Landlord could have just had her, just not giving her a rent increase and just told her to keep paying what she was paying right then, right? Now, I understand that they're using this story as an example. I just don't think it's a very good story because they're saying, hey, this lady, she was on doing just 6-month leases because she wanted the flexibility to be able to leave. But I could tell you for a fact that at least most landlords I know, they only give those shorter leases when they are charging a higher rental rate. So if she wanted to save some money and she would have to basically give up her flexibility, sign a standard 1 year lease, or maybe even agree to a 2 year lease, and she would have probably had a lower rental rate overall, way less increases as well. So that it's kind of her own fault that she kept getting hit with all these rental increases. And even though she had been there for 3 years, she didn't want to sign at least a 1 year lease. I mean, come on here, just seems kind of ridiculous. Not the best example for this story. Many tenants across America are also breathing a sigh of relief as rents drop from record highs for the first time in nearly 2 years. What's going on? During the first year of COVID, the rental market froze and people postponed their moves. Then, in 2021 2022, U.S. occupancy rates rose to record levels. The market was on fire and many renters were priced out of double-digit rent increases, said Anthemos Georgiades, CEO of Zumper, a national real estate listing or a national rental listing platform. Now, as we enter the third year of the market since COVID, there's a very different story. Occupancy rates are in free fall. Vacancies are rising. The fear of recession is biting, and rents have plateaued. So yeah, basically the fear of recession is hitting hard, and especially, and this is something that they didn't bring up in the article as well, right? The person they interviewed, the very first lady there, she lives in Seattle, right? And I'm sure everyone has heard about all of the tech layoffs that have been going on. And so Seattle is going to be hit particularly hard because it's one of the main hubs for these technology companies. I believe that Amazon and Microsoft are both located in the Seattle suburbs somewhere. I think so, right? And I've heard that I believe both of them are laying off thousands of people right now. So yeah, you're going to have a softening of the rental market when you have thousands of people getting laid off at one time, and suddenly are unable to pay their bills, okay? And, all of the increased rents that you were expecting to get, they're just not going to be there anymore. After the rapid rate of increase we saw over the past 2 years, there was only one way for rents to go, and that was down as the market takes a deep breath, said Rick Sharga, EVP of Market Intelligence at Atom, a leading provider of real estate and property data. This slowdown in growth is due to a number of factors, including an increase in new apartment construction, along with weakening consumer sentiment, said John Leckie, a researcher at Rent.com. People are uncertain about the economy, so they're unwilling or unable to sign expensive leases. We're also seeing more roommate situations doubling up, and that may be having an effect on demand too, he added. Yeah, and it certainly will. People, in order to cut costs, are going to be doing more of the roommate, situation. So, the thing that I saw in this paragraph up here, and they said that there were a lot of new apartment buildings that were under construction, right? And I can tell you for a fact, especially here in like Omaha and in Kansas City, where I invest, man, there were so many apartment complexes that have been built in the last few years. I mean, these are places where, hey, you can build quickly and easily because the local governments, they want development, right? And so a lot of the commercial developers were building commercial multifamily apartment buildings, right? And so a ton of new apartments were built. And I'm not saying we didn't need it, but that will have an effect on rental prices throughout a housing market, right? So landlords should expect that to be part of the reason why, hey, rents are not accelerating like they were before and might even be declining in some cases. Now, I realize that there are certain markets that are going to be hit a lot harder than other markets. Like where I live in Omaha, Nebraska, our market is not going to be hit as hard as some of these markets that are much more expensive. But this is the kind of place where we have rock bottom unemployment. Housing is relatively affordable. We have growth here, but it's very slow and steady growth. So you're not going to see the huge ups or downs. But at the same time, you're going to be okay, even during this sort of recession or inflationary period that we're going through right now. So yeah, this is, overall, not to be, unexpected. Okay, I sort of expected that there was going to be an upper limit to how much the rents were going to be able to go up. Okay, and I expected real estate prices to kind of flatten out, maybe decline as well. So, for the landlords out there who are experiencing this right now, I don't think that it's going to be, just a pure crash, hopefully. Remember, I'm not an economist, but from what I've seen, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a crash and we're going to, no longer be able to get enough rents to be able to pay our bills.